You are God's highest form of creation. If you are thinking that you're not worthy of something, you need to really flip that round and think, is this worthy of me? No matter what you can imagine, you could identify one step, one little step that would take you towards that. I have no idea how to become an astronaut. What would the first step be? You're like, I don't know. I would ask ChatGPT, how do I become an astronaut? To achieve something that you don't know how to do, sometimes it's one big action, sometimes it's the culmination of 1,000 tiny little steps, one step a day for 1,000 days. Freedom doesn't happen by accident, it's built. Welcome to Freedom by Design, where we explore what it really takes to create more freedom in your life, your business, and your relationships. We're Josh and Paula Kirpin, and this is intentional living done right.
Welcome back, episode 2. I'm super excited to be here to share with you guys and with Josh. We're going to talk about setting a goal and a desire worthy ideal. I want you to kind of explain a little bit to our listeners exactly what a worthy ideal is.
Yeah, we're going to back up before that even. This is going to be about much more than just goal setting. Everything starts with the desire. It all starts with the desire. This podcast, this is the first real episode. We're getting into some actual stuff we're going to talk about. So we're going to start it off with desire. You and I started off with desire. Desire, the root of desire is desire of the Father. So it is an ambition. It's something within you that you want. It drives you towards your worthy ideal. So it all starts with desire, and setting a worthy ideal, having goals that you truly desire are incredibly important. So the way that you set your goals and understanding the purpose of a goal and then stoking the flames of that desire. I think that's really important, is that desire can fluctuate. It might start small. You build it. It is your job to build desire in the goals that you want. And that desire will pull you through a lot of resistance. So we'll talk first about the purpose of a goal, because if you don't understand the purpose of a goal, you're going to really struggle to set a good goal and to attach to it. So I'll ask you, what's the purpose of a goal as far as you're concerned?
So the purpose of a goal, in my opinion, is to have something that you're working towards. So I believe that we are here to create, and we have to have some direction that we are taking as an individual. So not as a mother, not as a wife, as an individual that you are striving towards. And I think the purpose of that striving to achieve that goal is to grow and to create and to become, a different version of yourself through growth.
So you said it right there. And we have it on our goal cards that we print out, we give to people. The purpose of a goal isn't to get, it's to grow. And a goal is often perceived as the thing you have, right? That is not, the purpose isn't to achieve that. We aim towards that. And in striving towards that and pursuing that goal, we become what we need to become to get that goal. That is the purpose of the goal. Okay, so you also said it. We're put here to create. We are goal striving organisms. Okay, right from the get-go. And we come out of the womb and we want to start becoming more. It's naturally in us. It's innate. We want to start crawling and walking and driving and running and driving and get married and do all these things that are relatively natural. Oftentimes, then we get to a point where we have achieved a lot of what we're sort of physiologically driven towards, and then people can get stuck, right? And that's what you would generally call it, something like a midlife crisis. So because the purpose of a goal is to grow, and essentially you are put here to grow and become our, and that is not just us as humans, that's every living thing around us. And you can observe it in everything. It either grows or it dies. There is really no neutral. And the process of death and decay can be very long and drawn out, or it can happen rather quickly. In the farming world, our annual crops, they grow, and really quickly, like almost before your eyes, they reach their maturity, they stop growing, and they die and they decay, and then we use them, we give them purpose. Those plants don't give themselves purpose, but you can observe it in all living things around us. So it is the purpose of all living things, or not necessarily the purpose, okay? It is a necessity of life to continue to advance and to grow. The purpose of a goal is to grow. So really the purpose of a goal is to help you live more life. And you don't have to wait until you're in your midlife crisis to set goals. I would suggest that you don't. But if you get to a point where you will have achieved a lot of what you were set out, like feel like you're physiologically set out for, you maybe had your career, your family, you're set up, and you're feeling stuck, you have stopped growing, and you don't have a goal, you don't have something to strive towards. The moment you get something in place to pursue, you will start growing again, and you will start living more life.
I have a question just to interject there, because I feel like a lot of people, when they reach that point, they start to feel guilty or selfish for the concept of wanting more. So, does a goal have to be a monetary amount? Does it have to be a thing, a trip, a house, that sort of thing? And how can you speak to the concept of people feeling guilty for wanting more?
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot now, and it's more like keeping up with the Joneses, like social media, societal pressures, all those things where, so-and-so gets to go to Hawaii twice or goes to Hawaii twice a year. Is that something that I need to be doing if I can't afford it or whatever?
So much of what we're sold that we should want is just all about consumption.
Yes.
And so wanting to consume more, it's fine, but there's not a lot of depth to that.
Right.
Right. So wanting another TV or a bigger TV or a new car, those things are fine, but there's not a lot of depth to that. You're not going to get a lot out of that. But I was going to speak exactly to your point. We talk, and in our program, we do talk about quite big goals, but a goal is to help you grow. It's something that you don't know how to do right now. A goal that I set for myself a long time ago, I never really committed to it. I didn't make the decision to commit to it. I tried it a couple times. It didn't work out very well. Was to learn to play the guitar. I've always wanted to learn to play the guitar. Well, in Saskatchewan, as a farmer in the winter times, we have a lot of slow time, and we need to find a way to sort of fill that up. And when you're not striving towards something, that can get like sort of dangerous, that slow time. You get thinking about the wrong things, and it can be not very good. So I did recognize that. So I wanted to just pursue this goal of playing the guitar. Actually, it was requiring the boys to learn an instrument. So they were going to learn the guitar. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it along with them. I've always wanted to do this. I'm going to make the committed decision. So I did that. And it took probably a few weeks to just start to be able to play a little bit. And then it kind of took off. And now we can play a little bit. We play in church, and like not a good guitar player, but can play the guitar. And I am now more of a person because I learned to do that.
Absolutely.
And it's not just for me. It adds a lot of value. When we go play in church, it's like, I can't fathom how much people appreciate that we're there playing with the choir in church,
Sure.
So it adds value to other people. And that is what happens when you set a goal and you become more. There's just an effect that basically radiates off of you. That
ripples, yeah.
It's a ripple effect that radiates off of you that makes everyone and everything that you touch better and makes them more. That is the magic of goals, setting a good goal and pursuing goals.
And that goal, like you said, is something that you knew how to do, right? I mean, you got guitar lessons online. You didn't know how to play the guitar, but you knew how you were going to go about learning the guitar.
I had a strategy.
You had a strategy.
So it started out as a fantasy. It was just a dream.
Yes.
I had no idea. And when I was younger, when I first wanted to do this, there was limited options to learn. It was go find a teacher. My dad knew how to play the guitar. I asked him to teach me. He gave me a book and said, "Way you go." The resources were not there. The resources weren't there to help me to learn to play the guitar.
Right.
At least I didn't engage with them. So I didn't even know how to learn at that point. Right. Technology has changed such that now you can go on the internet and learn to play the guitar. So I turned that dream into a strategy where I knew how to pursue, I knew how to learn how. And then it was just a matter of actually setting the goal and learning how. But a goal, you don't know how to do it. You have to form the strategy and how to do it. And that's part of the fun.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And one thing I loved about that whole guitar story was how the boys then picked up the guitar and learned their lessons, and now they play as well. So to me, as a parent, I'm always trying to find ways to positively impact my kids, because they're going to go out into the world at some point and contribute and impact people and the world. And so for me, it's as parents modeling the behavior that we want them to have, right? So that could be working out, that could be learning the guitar, nutrition. We'll talk about that probably at some point, but the habits and routines and activities that Josh and I do are things that now the kids are doing because they see us do that behavior and then they also do it. So I think that's also part of the value of adults setting goals and continually doing so, is that the kids are watching what you're doing and then they learn that inevitably through what you're doing as well.
Yeah. So we'll take this a few different directions. One, when you're raising your kids, you're raising your grandkids. So that's interesting to think about, right? Because your kids are effectively going to turn into something very close to you. And we'll talk more about paradigms probably in the next episode and how those get put in place. But all of the beliefs that you have about life, you accepted as a very young person without the conscious ability to reject them. They are not even your beliefs. They are other people's beliefs given to you, and you just accepted them because you couldn't reject them.
Right.
So when you are transferring whatever you do, your kids are going to inherit that. What you say, and I've noticed this, I'm sure most parents have noticed this, your kids will do what you say to a relatively small degree. They will do what you do to a very large degree. And that goes to speak to the difference between your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. You can consciously think one thing, and when you tell your kids to do something, you're consciously telling them to do something. When you show them how to do it, you're subconsciously, that's right. Coming, whatever your actions are subconsciously coming out of you. That's what they're going to pick up on. And that's the lessons that they're going to learn. So circling back to the guitar lessons, it was a way of I had to show them, right, what it looks like to pursue a goal and persist through difficulties. This is like, we're talking about very minor difficulties,
Absolutely.
some finger calluses and things like that, right? But you're still persisting through challenges and difficulties and then coming out the other end with a new skill. And it's like just a micro teaching learning session about how goals work and how persistence works and how making a decision to do something works, but showing them they are going to do it much more so than if you just tell them. And our kids, our boys in particular, girls are still a little bit young to really be dialed into what they want, but the boys have some big lofty goals that they want to achieve and pursue, like to play baseball at the highest level. I can't show them how to do that. It's probably, I still believe that I probably can. I actually
any day now.
Yeah. But realistically, it's not what I'm going to pursue, but I can show them what it looks like to pursue a big goal, to persist through challenges, and then they can take those lessons and they're going to have to use all of those tools as they pursue their goals.
And to be better than yourself yesterday. Like, that's what I always tell them, is just, you are trying to raise your ceiling up every single day. Don't compare yourself to other people. But it was really cool to just watch them find joy in challenging themselves and then learning how to play the guitar. Like the fact that they can just pick it up now and play, a Cody Johnson strum or whatever. It's a pretty cool thing to see them do, for sure.
Yeah. I really learned something really valuable in that process of learning to play the guitar, because it was incredibly difficult. Like, I ran my left hand through a table saw in high school. So I have limited feeling in some of these fingers. My hand is physically smaller because I cut out a bunch of skin here. So it's hard for me even to wrap around the neck. I had some extra challenges to learn to play the guitar, like, oh, poor me. It's not that bad, but I had some extra challenges to fight through. So I just thought, I kind of told myself the story that because I had this injury to my hand, I was not going to learn the guitar. It was too difficult when I had tried when I was younger. So I just quit. But what I learned a lot about the compound effects of little investments day after day. I would have a practice session playing the guitar, and I was trying to learn a new chord. C chord was really hard for me. And I mean, I could hardly make my fingers go in that position in that practice session, and would never get over it in that practice session. That was weird. Like, it didn't get over the hump in that session, but you get to a point where you stop because your hand's cramping up or whatever. The next day I would come and my fingers would automatically go there. And I didn't consciously make them go there. They just did it because of the compound effects of the practice that I was doing. So it was really a light bulb moment to me that, to achieve something that you don't know how to do, sometimes it's one big action. Sometimes it's the culmination of a tiny little steps, 1,000 tiny little steps, one step a day for 1,000 days, so you do need to have patience and faith in the creative power of time in producing the results that you're after.
I think that is a great segue to you kind of defining what a worthy ideal is.
We'll break it into two parts.
Yep.
What's worthy and what's ideal. So the last part is the ideal or the idea. The idea is basically a picture in your imagination of what you want. It is if it's a picture, it is essentially a place and time, right? If we think about our memories from the past, we look at our memories are effectively images that we have of past events. So if an ideal of the future is just an image that we have of the future, and then quantifying all the things that are in that image, and what does that mean? And that's sort of the position, the place that we want to go to. That's the goal or the destination. Okay, so that's the destination. When we turn it into a goal, we need to make it somewhat objective so that our servo mechanism can lock into that. So we'll get into that in just a moment, I suppose. A little bit about the servo mechanism. But that is the ideal part of a worthy ideal. The worthy part is it worthy of you? Is it aligned with your purpose? Does it come from somewhere deep? Does it fire you up? And I think that's where, to speak to your question earlier about how do you deal with the not wanting more and feeling guilty about wanting more and all these types of things, I think it stems to some sort of idea for some people that they are not as worthy as they may think they are. Now, most people will think of wanting more or setting a goal, and they don't want to set it too big because they don't feel that they are worthy of that goal or that want or that ideal. And I would challenge that and say that likely anything that you can imagine is not worthy of you. You are God's highest form of creation. To think that there are things that you can imagine that you are not worthy of, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't make that make sense. So if you are thinking that you're not worthy of something, you need to really flip that around and think, is this worthy of me, God's highest form of creation? The answer is likely no. So you should probably set it a little bit higher and aim for something that is worthy of you.
Love that. I think that the worthy ideal concept scares a lot of people because it is one of those fantasy, imaginative, like you don't know how you're going to achieve it. So to be able to put that down on paper and actually have that be, your cornerstone worthy ideal that you're striving towards, a lot of people get overwhelmed and, they don't understand the how. Those micro steps like you were talking about, they don't understand how they're going to get there. They have absolutely no clue. So it seems so far-fetched. So how would you help somebody through that concept and having that worthy ideal there and just trusting themselves that the opportunity will come to be able to get there?
Take the first step. Like, generally speaking, no matter what you can imagine, you could identify one step, one little step that would take you towards that. So let's say I wanted to become an astronaut. Like, I have no idea how to become an astronaut. Zero, right? But for whatever reason, this has come from deep inside of me and it's worthy. I want to become an astronaut. So what would the first step be? Well, you're like, I don't know. I don't know how to put on an astronaut suit. I don't know how to walk on the moon. I don't know anything about flying an airplane, let alone a space shuttle. How can I become an astronaut? You're thinking way too far down the line. What would the first step be? There's a million of them that you could do to learn how to, like, I would ask ChatGPT, how do I become an astronaut? Literally, that's that would be step one. Oh, we're not that far from Houston. We could go to the Space Center in Houston and ask somebody, hey, I'm interested in becoming an astronaut. What would be required of that? No different if you want to become a country music artist or a real estate agent, or you want to become a millionaire real estate investor. Whatever it is. Find somebody who has done it and ask them. That would be step one. And that will give you a clue to what should be step number two. That's called basically synthetic imagination. So where you're using your imagination to take things that are already known and sort of put them together and make it work for you, make a new recipe, make it work for you. But that's the process of going out and gathering information that's already there. And some of it is actively going out and finding information. Some of it is just thinking about things that you've learned in the past and sort of recombining it to what might work for you. Now, you might want to pursue something that has never been done before. Nobody's ever done it.
Right.
Who are you going to ask? Who would you ask?
I am not ChatGPT, I guess. I don't know.
ChatGPT has never even heard of it.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, I'm going to go to the source. I'm going to ask God. Like, that's the only person that has the answers. And God has the answers for everything. Effectively, everything has already been created. It's just a matter of discovering how to do it. So I don't want to just be an astronaut. I want to fly to the moon under my own power. So, I mean, I can't even hardly say it without giggling, right? It's so ridiculous. But is it any more ridiculous than when, I forget it, what inventor it was that was talking about radio, like broadcasting radio, and this idea that you could send these frequencies across space and receive them on the other side. They literally tried to have him put into the mental institution because they thought he was nuts, right? Turns out not a big deal. Now that's super old technology, right? We're coming across the airwaves on this podcast. Millions of people can, if we were live streaming this, they could know exactly what we're doing across the world in the blink of an eye. Like those things, the first people that thought of those things, people thought that they were mentally ill, right? So I'm going to go to the moon on my own power. Nobody's ever done it. As far as I know, that's such an out there thought. There's nobody you can even go to for any information. So it would just be a matter of sitting as still as humanly possible and listening for something from God. That would be the first step. And I think something would come to you rather quickly. That would be the first step, and it would seem probably very bizarre and like it's not getting you very close. But if it seemed like the first step, it would be imperative that you took it, because that will lead to the second step. When you think about like the Wright brothers, when they invented the airplane, they could not go to anybody to ask them how to invent an airplane. Nobody had done it yet, right? So they had to just figure that all out on their own and fail. So I guess if I wanted to fly the moon, I would start first by jumping, seeing how high I could get, and then figure out a way that I could get higher than that. But you just have to start. You just start. But when you need answers that are completely unknown, that ChatGPT doesn't have, there's only one place to go, and that's right to the source. And the only way that you can get those answers is through prayer, meditation, just quiet contemplation, and those ideas will come to you. There's something like eureka moments, right? Often they happen, for me, they're often when I'm about to go to sleep, the odd time in the middle of the night when I wake up, and then I'll be up and excited about this idea. And sometimes in the mornings. Not that often do they come during the day, which is odd. But your mind has to be quite quiet, because when your mind is full of the world, there's no opportunity for God to get in and speak to you.
Yeah. I think that is a huge piece that a lot of people are missing, because there's just so much noise in the world nowadays that we don't have that space to just quiet our mind and think and be creative that way. So I want to ask you what, designing a worthy ideal has done for your life or our life, like since introducing that.
Yeah, I'm an unconscious competent, which I didn't know what that was. So I never specifically designed a worthy ideal. I just had an idea that I wanted. I would write it down on paper, and it just happened. Okay. And I don't know why I like that, for whatever reason, was born into me. I don't know. It's an idea. I don't know how that happened. I'm grateful for it. That's a thing that it can be very challenging, because whatever idea you get, you obsess over it and it will come to fruition. The problem is you can get bad ideas, negative ideas, and then attach to those without really wanting to. And I've been there, and that's really challenging. So it's not all rainbows and unicorns when you're an unconscious competent, but that's where finding this program in particular made me understand how I had achieved everything that I had achieved, and that you don't have to be an unconscious competent. You can be a conscious competent and know how it works, and then be able to direct it. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. But in the past, to answer your question, I wanted to get to 10,000 acres on the farm. That was purely ego driven. I just wanted to be the big, and at that time that was a big farm. So I wrote it down, and it happened. It was a matter of time. I said yes to every single opportunity that came to me that would get me closer to that, and it happened. It was that simple. That I was a young man. It was pretty ego driven. Does that mean it was bad? No, it doesn't mean it was bad. There's been a tremendous amount of great spin-off effects from me building that. Ego is not evil. It is sort of what gives us our individuality, which is cool. So we can accept it, but we want to, I think, understand it and make sure that we are in the driver's seat, and not our ego. But yeah, to answer your question, that's been my experience with worthy ideals and goals. Is I just have a thought, I think about it, and then I will obsess over it. And people think that things like OCD and ADHD and these things are bad. I completely, they're like superpowers. You just have to be very careful about how you focus that energy. It's like an immense amount of thought energy. You just have to be very conscious that you possess it and be careful what you focus it on,
Yeah.
because it will come true. I was trying to come up with more goals. My particular issue right now is I don't feel that my imagination is developed enough. I can't think to the next level. But I was writing down goals and things that I wanted to accomplish. This was a few years ago, and I wrote down that I wanted to get my pilot's license. It's something I'm still very interested in. I wrote it down, and within 3 weeks, we were in Phoenix. I was in the air about to sign up for a 30-day get your pilot's license course, and it hit me. How am I going to use this? I don't have time for this. It doesn't fit in my life right now. So I had to stop and put the brakes on. Now I'm very careful about what I write down on my wants and goals list, because it will just happen. And part of that is that desire, and you just obsessing over that goal and thinking about what it will feel like and all of those types of things. That's exactly what makes it happen. But I've shelved that now. So there will be a time in my life that I think that skill will be very useful. Maybe when our kids are older, if they're going to college, and here and there, it would allow us to travel more, but it just doesn't fit our lifestyle right now. So I've shelved that idea, but I'm very careful about what I do with that.
I think the worthy ideal concept has made such an impact in our lives because it provides focus, basically. And so when you have a direction, and you touched on the servo mechanism piece of it, when you have a direction and you take those first action steps, it provides you some sort of direction and focus to be able to have that servo mechanism keep you on that path. So whatever actions you're taking, whether they take you a little bit off course or not, it's still an action. It's a movement in the forward direction. It's a movement towards your focus, towards that goal. And I think that provides a tremendous amount of value for everybody within our family. And I'll say this quick story about Hunter. We homeschool our kids, obviously, so they're home, they do their schoolwork at home, and sometimes he has trouble actually getting on task and staying on task. And so what we did is we made a calendar with, what is there, like 5 things that he has to do in a day. He has to get dressed, make his bed, like simple things like that, but be able to highlight them off a list and keep him working towards his goal. So baseball's on it, working out's on it, roping's on it, like things that he is prioritizing to get towards his worthy ideal. He does them every single day. And it might seem a little monotonous, but he gets up and he highlights those things off when he does them. And if he doesn't do them or hasn't done them yet, he sees that on there and then remembers, oh, I need to go and like figure this out and go to my baseball or whatnot. But it provides some sort of focus for that long-term, out there goal that they have, to be able to have their day-to-day steps take them towards that worthy ideal.
Yeah. There's 2 more things I want to talk about before we wrap this up. Yeah. And one is, I'll touch on the servo mechanism part, because I think it's interesting to flesh out. And your mind works as a servo mechanism, the same as an autopilot in an airplane, a GPS on a tractor. You put in a destination and it will take you there if you focus on that destination. You have to continue focusing on that destination, but it will take you there. It fails its way there. That's really important to understand. So an airplane, when it's on autopilot, it's constantly course correcting. It's got side winds and turbulence and all these sorts of things. So it's course correcting. It is failing its way to its destination.
Right.
You are the same way. So when you set a goal, you take that first step. You don't know if that's the right step. If it's not, it will feel like a failure. Most people will say, this goal is not for me. I'm not supposed to pursue it. It's a failure. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. They'll go back to their comfort zone. If you understand how everything works, you understand that is simply a redirection. It's not a failure. Okay. It's a redirection. So if you just continue taking another step forward, you will redirect towards your goal, and it will not be the last failure there. When you're pursuing your goals, it is just 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's falling down. It's getting back up. The first goals that you ever pursued was probably walking for a lot of us, the first serious goal. And you fell down, you banged your head, you scraped your knee, and you got back up. And you just did it as many times as it took to learn to walk. I don't know of anybody who just fell down a couple times, said, I guess I'm just not meant to be a walker. It doesn't happen, right? But you're very uncomfortable when you can't walk, because you want to keep up with people. And there's enough desire to walk that you'll persist through anything. But we lose that as we get older, and we get very comfortable, and we have a very comfortable society. The other side of things is the idea between transitional and transactional, or transformational and transactional goals. And you talked about it a little bit before, and what is a worthy ideal. If your worthy ideal is more of what you currently have, it's going to miss the mark. All you're going to have to do to get there is to give more of what you currently are. And most of us don't have any more to give. We're full up, right? We've all only got 24 hours in a day. So you don't likely have more to give. You need to become a different version of yourself. That's where a transformational goal is magical. That requires you to become a different version of yourself. So you might have the goal to make an extra $100,000 a year next year, and that might just require a lot more of you. Whereas a goal to learn the guitar may be a much more worthy ideal. You're actually learning to become something new, something different.
Yeah.
That might be very much more worthy to you than making some extra money.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks. I love talking about worthy ideal. It's one of my favorite things that I've learned in this course, and I think has added tremendous amounts of value to our lives and our kids' lives. And yeah, I'm excited to share with you guys.
It all starts with desire.
Yeah.
If your desire is strong enough, nothing will stop you. All right. Thanks for listening.
Love it.
We'll see you
Thanks.
next time. God bless. We appreciate you being part of Freedom by Design. If this conversation added value, help us spread the love. Take a second to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. The more intentional we become, the more freedom we create in our homes, our work, and our future. We'll see you next time. God bless.